who says she has an addiction to sex that started at age 12. Also joining us is Robert Weiss, author of Sex Addiction 101. He's a digital age intimacy and relationships expert. He has not treated Erica, but he's here to help us put some perspective onto this. First, let me ask you, Erica, do you consider yourself currently, present day, a sex addict?
I do not.
You feel like you've worked through it?
I consider myself in recovery for sex addiction, and I do consider my past as being a sex addict, but I don't view myself in that lens anymore.
Mm-hmm. You and your husband, you write in the book, you know, you're still having threesomes, but it's not an addiction for you.
Right, and you know, I'm a sexual being, and I've always been experimental and open-minded, and it really wasn't about stopping that and cutting off that part of myself. I really wanted to find balance with that and just not feel the shame aspect anymore.
Getting it under control.
Right.
There's a great line in the book where you talk about, I'm paraphrasing, but what if I could go back and instead of taking back my sins, I took back my shame? Think of that. Just think about that in your own life. Instead of taking back your sins, you take back your shame. Have you been able to do that?
It's an ongoing effort, but yes, and I think it's really important. I don't have the desire to stay stuck. I don't have the desire to regret my past and do anything destructive that would make me feel bad anymore. I want to live healthy, and I want to continue being a healthy sexual being without feeling bad about it.
Rob, how many sex addicts are women?
About 25% of sex addicts are women. When I think about it, it's kind of like with eating disorders. We have about 25% men and about 80% women, 75%. It's kind of switched with sex. We have about 70% men and about 30% women.
Mm-hmm. And the dangers of the internet. I mean, how big of a factor is that in sex addiction?
Well, it's the accessibility that is really the issue. You know, back in the day, if I wanted to get some porn, I had to go somewhere, go to a store, and it was icky, and I didn't want anyone to see me there, and I had to rent something, maybe I had to return it. Now it's so immediate. It's like, I think of the apps and the online porn like having cocaine in the medicine cabinet. You know, it's just so easy to press that button and there it is. And there isn't that time.
But it's more like having pot and cocaine and then heroin in the medicine cabinet.
Absolutely.
Because as Erica talks about, sort of the gateway through to the darker and darker stuff, which affected her real life relationships. So is there anything we can do about them? And as a mother of 3 children, I worry about this.
Well, in terms of porn, there's a lot that parents need to be doing. You know, I don't know that our schools always teach children about intimacy and sexuality and relationship. You know, they learn the birds and the bees and the body parts, but I think right now parents really need to step up and talk to their children about intimate and relationship-based sexuality, and they need to be talking about internet porn.
How so?
Well, there are books out there now. I don't know if parents are aware of it, but it'd be so helpful. There are how to talk to your 6-year-old about adult images, how to talk to your 8-year-old. These are conversations that should be held early and young, so kids feel comfortable saying, I saw this, Mom, I don't know what to do. They should feel that way rather than, I've got to hide this and this is bad and I'm ashamed.
You know, there are some people who don't believe sex addiction is a real thing.
That's true.
Is it a real thing?
Well, we'll have a diagnosis in Europe this year, and we'll have a diagnosis in the States next year. So that's kind of going away as we see the brain science. And, you know, we only have one pleasure center in the brain. It doesn't matter whether I'm doing cocaine, or I'm drinking, or I'm gambling, or I'm engaging in sex. It still is a distracting, emotional way for me to escape or to feel better.
But sex is sort of like a food addiction in that, unlike heroin addiction, you don't show up at, you know, in your day-to-day life, heroin is not necessarily available, but sex is part of a normal, healthy lifestyle and relationship and marriage. And what is I mean, this is just very brave of you to put this out there and write so openly about it. And I ask you about your daughter only because when I was reading it, I was like, oh my God, my daughter ever read that, you know? So what are your feelings about that, and why did you write the book?
You know, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it with my daughter, but I do hope to answer any questions she has with just honesty. And I don't think that it's wrong for a child to see their parent vulnerable and to see that I've made some mistakes and I've gotten through them. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the purpose of writing the book was not just to extend compassion to myself and understand myself better, but really to help other people who are going through this and feeling so alone and so afraid that it's okay, that there's somebody out there who understands.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Rob.
I just can't tell you how much of a need there is for women to have a place to talk about this. I've been treating men and women for almost 30 years with sexual and intimacy disorders. And men, you know, they have a problem, they talk about it, but it's so much harder for a woman to come forward with a sexual problem. We all know what names we give women when they act out sexually. Men are studs and players, you know, women not so nice.
We guilt and we shame women for being sexual beings all, never mind in the way that Erica owns.
And I really admire you, Erica, because you're not with a lot of folks, I see they become very rigid. You know, like I'm going to cut sex out, or I'm going to cut, it has to be this. And you're saying, no, I want to be a fluid, open human being, but I don't want to do things that hurt me or hurt the people I love or don't allow me to grow my life. So I think you're on the right path.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much.